Okay, welcome to another Synth Hour episode. Uh, this week, we're privileged to have Steve Connelly on. Steve is from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and as you can see, he's a synthesizer enthusiast. Uh, got a little modular rig there. He's active on YouTube. You can learn about what he does on there. Um, he's is it the S Rabbit, one word?
The S Rabbit, all one word.
Yeah, that's his YouTube channel. So in addition to playing with the synthesizers, he's really enjoys sound design. He's also a software engineer, and he actually has a couple applications he's made for his smartphone and uh, iPads and whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah, that do modulation. So I doubt we'll be able to get there on this show, but that's definitely a conversation that we want to have in the future because that stuff sounds pretty exciting. So anyway, Steve, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. How are you doing?
I, I'm doing well. I'm fed. I'm watered, and the air conditioner is working.
That's good.
So what are we drinking tonight, Steve?
This is called, grab the can quick. Um, oh, that's the brewery, 5-6. The Big Mini Double IPA, local brew. Always like
Nice.
to support the local microbreweries
Is that
out
your
out of a
first?
fancy glass. This is my second, but I
Okay.
drank the first one really, really slowly. I'll
So
pound this one.
the show should get better and better as we go. Then
Hmm.
that's good. That's good. Let's see. So I did watch your recent video. That was and I like that you did the patch breakdown. So in your is that your whole rack that we can see there in the frame?
That is, yes.
So have you got three oscillators in the rack and then the one in the MS-20 that you added to get to the
I've
four?
actually got I've actually got four oscillators in the rack.
Okay.
So there's two of the 2 HP
Oh,
VCOs.
okay.
One of them's black and one of them's silver. I could actually bring the camera closer.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Let's see. Oh, how's that?
Yep.
Yeah, so there's the 2 HP VCOs, two of them,
Hmm.
and then the Roland 512 dual VCO. So there's your four VCOs right there for the patch.
So what was the MS-20 doing then? I must not remember the your patch description well enough.
Yeah, so the MS-20, you can see there's not a lot going on in the patch bay there. Um, that's because I'm just using the low pass filter and that's it.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I'm sending the fourth oscillator down into the external input, and then the output's going into the uh, 530. I don't know if you can see that.
Is that your mixing module there?
Yeah, it's a dual VCA, but I'm using it
Oh, okay.
like a mixer because each VCA has three inputs on it.
So now, as I understand the, what would you call it? Like the CV format is different on the MS-20. So I don't even know
Yes,
if you could use the Poly in Poly 2, which is awesome. I have that same one. If you could use that to drive three of your rack oscillators and then the MS-20 oscillator without that oscillator tracking totally differently.
I don't think you can. I think you can set it up to do all hertz per volt or all volt per octave.
Okay.
I don't think you can mix and match. I could be wrong. I do have another converter down here.
Mm.
This is the CVOCD, and I've had this one for quite a while, and it's super configurable. And this one will do that. So
Oh,
you can
wow.
configure each output however you want.
Yeah.
The big limitation with it is you only get four CV outs. So and they have to be either control voltage or pitch. the rest of the outputs are only for gates and triggers.
Oh,
Whereas
okay.
this, you can make all of those outputs do whatever you want,
Yep.
basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I've been really impressed and happy with it. I think the only thing that I wish the Poly and Poly 2 could do is multiple polyphonic voices, even if it was just a pair of duophonic voices, because as far as I know, it can't do that. And the developers said they're not planning to add any additional features when I wrote them about that.
yep.
Because that's what the dope for one that I tried earlier, it could do that. It could do all sorts of great things, but for some crazy reason, they didn't get around to implementing pitch bend on
Right.
the dope for polyphonic module, even though all the brochures say that it does it. They said, yeah, we had planned that, but we never got around to doing it, and that was like 3 years or 4 years ago. It was a while ago, so I was like, okay, that's never going to happen. I got to get something different.
And then is that it? Like you can't update the firmware like over sysx?
Well, no, there is a way to do it. They just haven't done the
They just
firmware
haven't
update
implemented it.
themselves. Because yeah, if they did, they could release it because it does have. I'm pretty sure it has a USB port on the front of it. The dope for one, I think it's the A195. I can't remember.
Oh,
There's every dope for is a number, and I don't remember them all.
okay.
So,
Yeah, this one I'm pretty sure you could do that. You could do like
mm.
two and two. I'm pretty sure.
and
You
what's
can
that one called again?
it's called the CVOCD.
Okay,
Um,
I might have to check that out
I don't know
because
if I can get it.
yeah, it's back there. I don't blame you if
Yeah.
you looks like a pretty tight
I,
fit.
there is a module version too.
Okay.
And I can't remember what it's called, like Mutant Brain or something like that.
Well, that sounds a little
I
familiar, but I grew up with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so there could be some overlap there.
right. Yeah, it's the Krang module. um, but yeah, coming back to this, you'll see this blue cable coming into the trigger input, and so that's actually V trig to S trig cable.
Okay.
So and that's coming straight out of the gate of the
Yeah.
poly.
Okay.
So,
So yeah, you did manage to integrate them with a little bit of translation.
yep, but that's only for the gate because the oscillator is still coming from the
Hmm.
the rest of these up here.
And that MS-20, they don't sell a rack version. So how did you get that in there again?
So I yeah, it was just kind of frustrating before I
It
went
should
into
be. Well,
Eurorack.
they have like that really cool one that was a module that I saw briefly that there was like really limited edition. I think that was based on the full size one, basically the full size without a keyboard.
Yep. Yeah, it
What?
was a
Yeah.
full size module, and they added PWM
Yep.
and oscillator sync and all this awesome stuff, and then it was just gone.
Yeah.
Like, too bad if you didn't get it. Um, so yeah, I before I went into Eurorack, I just kept buying all these mono synths, like every one that hit the market,
Yep. Yep.
and then the keyboard ended up getting in the way, and like it sits at a weird angle, so you can't
Yep.
like set it on top of anything, or yeah, it just occupied too much space. So yeah, I just got fed up with it one day and took the keyboard off, took the sides off, and then I replaced the sides with just two thin pieces of wood. And then this is like from a shelf, this top piece
Mm.
that I just cut to size. So this is quite a bit thicker. And then I put some of this grippy stuff on, and then
Yeah.
that way I can set other stuff on top of it, and
Okay.
it works perfect. The
Yeah.
craftsmanship is horrible, but because I don't have these abilities to be doing, like, I should not be doing this. When I made this thing, I actually I cut through a like this storage bin that I had the wood sitting on top of when I was sawing it. So I wasn't paying attention, and I went right through the thing I had it sitting on top of.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then the same thing for this, like this big thing, the enclosure around it.
Yeah.
That's you actually inspired me to make this with your 2-hour long rack rebuild video, uh, which I just thought was so interesting, and it was so cool when you finished it up. Um, so I wanted something like that, but I didn't want to. When you talked about how much it cost,
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. And I only have 2 rows of 84 HP. I don't have what you have. So I figured I just build this little enclosure thing, and I actually did video all of that, and I'll put something together, even though it's not like anything fancy. It's just kind of fun.
Yeah, I like I like it when people can think a little bit outside the box because there's there's the perfect solution for everybody and it's going to be different for everybody. We don't have to shoehorn ourselves into, well, you got to buy this case and this is how cases are made and that's just the way life is. Well, no, you could actually build your own case and maybe you want to chop off the keyboard if you're feeling adventurous.
Right.
There's all
And
sorts of ways to do things.
yep. And I did actually put this little project into one of my videos.
Okay.
I did a like a 16-minute just for my first jam with modular, and I set up the 707 to do some simple sequences, and I had like I just had like the oscillators kind of bouncing back and forth. It actually ended up sounding reminded me of early 80s King Crimson.
Hmm.
So I named the video Blue Crimson because I had that going on up here, and then I had the MS-20 Mini doing like a blues riff underneath it, like
Okay.
a very very aggressive, like kind of sounded like Smoke on the Water a little bit or a
Hmm.
lot of bit. um, and then like while that was going on, because there's not much structure to the actual piece itself, I'm just kind of messing around. I showed the video of me building this thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's something about doing YouTube videos that makes me feel like there's less pressure to come up with something that's like ready to be put on an album.
Yeah, I almost that's an interesting topic because I tend to not put anything that I call finished up there just because I don't know. Yeah, I kind of want to keep it a little bit raw and a little bit fresh. I can't explain exactly why. Maybe because I want it to feel more real. And if it's something that I did all that and then I spent 30 hours in the studio perfecting every nuance, and then I play you that video, you see me doing this stuff, but you hear the 30-hour work brushed up, it's like the supermodels with the airbrushed thighs kind of phenomenon, I guess. That's what I want to avoid is doing that. So it's like, we'll try to keep it as honest as possible. And I like that. And I appreciate other videos that are like that. It's like, if the guy belches and scratches himself and knocks something over, I will enjoy that more.
Right.
You know, that's what I like about YouTube and keeping it real on YouTube.
Yeah, I did a video of the JX10 upgrade that I did, which is over here. That's the vintage Roland rack.
Nice.
JX10 is down on the bottom. So I upgraded the firmware in that to Vcoven 3.22, which gives it the proper MIDI implementation that it should have had out of the factory
Mm.
in 1986. And it also it goes beyond that though too. Like it gives you NRPN, so you can like easily sequence MIDI CCs or whatever from your DAW. But I did a video of me installing that, and uh, if you look online, the instructions say you're supposed to use this IC removal tool to get the old firmware out, the old EEPROM chip. And so I was using that, and I couldn't get a good grip on it. And then so I pulled really hard on it, and only half the chip came out, and like the other half was stuck in there. The pins got all bent, and I'm just like, you know, just start cursing. And I didn't edit. Well, I bleeped out the cursing because I
Yeah.
didn't want that on YouTube. But
Yeah.
I left it in there. I wanted the world to see my frustration because that's what real life is like for somebody who's not a tech. You
Yeah.
know.
You're not, what is that, Marcus Fuller, and you don't have the whole setup, and that's a
Yeah.
brave man there.
I basically have no idea what I'm doing. But I learned a lot from that experience. I
Yeah.
learned to I emailed Fred Vicoven, the man himself, and he just kind of he watched the video and then he laughed and said, "Yeah, I hate IC removal tools. Just use a flathead screwdriver and a little bit of patience.
Okay.
Much better."
I'll know for
But
the
yeah,
future.
yeah, just keep it real, keep it raw, uncut, unpolished. Well,
So,
uncut can be you know, start meandering on and on.
yeah, I I'm making an effort. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna limit my filter reviews to 15 minutes. We'll see how that goes for a while, because I think I've had them close to 50 minutes of like just an
Are you
experiment.
getting Are you getting copyright strikes on those for the sweeps?
Somehow I have managed to avoid a single filter sweep copyright strike, which surprises me because I've probably done 300 filter sweeps at least. I mean, I've got like 10 or 12 filter reviews, and in them, I'm like sweeping all over the place.
Yep. I think I know why that is. Just try adding some stereo delay to it and then see what happens.
Ah,
I think that's the key.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because yeah, none of those sweeps are ever mixed. It's a raw sweep because it's a review. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's an interesting point.
Yeah. Because otherwise, like, Ricky Tinez, his introduction, he's got a sweep. So all of his videos would
Yeah.
be, yeah. I did, uh, I protested mine and I was not very nice about, uh, well, nice is not the right word. I mean, I was very, very direct, and
Uh,
I demanded a logical explanation for how I was in violation of copyright.
yeah.
And then, you know, I think I constructed my argument pretty well, but I don't even know if I heard back. I should check.
It's probably best to not be attached to hearing back from them. Yeah, that's the frustrating thing about that sort of stuff. It's like they're a huge company. Maybe if you had 100,000 subscribers, you could have like a direct line to somebody.
Right.
But
And I don't monetize, so it's
hmm.
not a big deal for me, but like people that actually do make money off YouTube,
Oh
like
yeah,
put they've set aside whatever they were doing in life and they're just going for it on YouTube, and then to have something like that, I mean, that's just it's not fair.
yeah, totally ridiculous. Okay, we're gonna get into it here. Uh, so if you don't mind, I'd like to just go back to the very beginning of your musical journey, which may not be that far back, or it may be, when you were in the kitchen with pots and pans. Wherever you want to start is fine. Whatever level of detail you want to go into is fine.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to go way back, my
As
mom and
early as
dad,
you can remember.
yeah, my parents made all of us kids take lessons, piano lessons, before being able to like do anything else. So I think I was 7 and I did 2 years of piano lessons. And then I think fifth grade is when I joined band in elementary school, and played the trumpet. And then I moved on to percussion because I wanted to play the drums. Um, and
So
then
how
like
did uh, what style when you played piano was it classical or I don't know how they differentiate from the styles or pop oriented or jazz oriented.
it, I don't think I ever got far enough to get into like classical.
I know
Like,
that's way complex. I don't really know what I'm talking about. I just assumed, maybe you went in a certain direction based on your instructor.
no, it was kind of like these, I think, these stock things that they pretty much have every student do.
Oh, okay.
Um, and
And
my
that's
my
in 2 years. So, were you very engaged with it, or you were like, okay, mom says I got to do this, so I show up and I do it, and I make mom happy?
Yeah, it was basically that, the latter.
Okay. Yeah.
But I learned how to read music and stuff, so
Oh,
that was
yeah.
that was good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Okay.
of
So
course,
then,
I forgot how to read it after not doing it for so long.
yeah. Yeah. So what drew you to the trumpet band scenario then?
I, I don't know what drew me to the trumpet. Probably because my brother played it in high school and then beyond high school. Um, but yeah, I didn't do that for very long. Then I moved over to percussion because I wanted to learn how to play drums on a real drum kit. And my best friend in grade school also played drums, and
Okay.
he was a way better drummer than I ever could be. Um,
He was like
yeah, I don't know if
like
he
a
still plays or
Tim
not, but
Grogan caliber of drummer, huh?
yeah, I mean, and he was just like seemed like a real natural to like, pick
I
things
just
up
want to do a
really
shameless
quick.
shout out to Tim Grogan in this episode.
No, you got to do it. Um, but like I definitely struggled. I took drum lessons actually throughout all of high school. So in high school, I still played the drum kit, and I was in concert band throughout all of high school. I was in drum line, so very active in drums and percussion throughout all of high school. But I also played guitar as well. I started playing guitar probably at the end of eighth grade, and then throughout all of high school, got in a band freshman year of high school, and stayed in that band until like 2002. So
Wow.
like 9 years. Um, yeah, it was good times. Good times. It
So
was,
you were very, very active musically. It sounds like. So how did was it a electric guitar that you were playing?
yeah, actually, you
Was
said
that
that I
rhythm
should.
versus a bass guitar?
You said that I should share pictures.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
You're welcome to.
let me see if I can do this.
Hopefully, you have the
Um,
permission to. I think you should because actually you're the host because I left and came back. So it should allow you to.
host disabled attendee screen sharing. Oh,
I think you are the
well,
host.
but it won't let me do it.
Okay, let me see. Advanced sharing options. All all participants.
Oh wait, I think I can do it now.
Yeah, I just turned it on.
Okay,
We have the technology.
or not, because I have to turn on permissions on my Mac.
Oh no,
Okay, just a second. We're gonna get there.
it's all going to grind to a halt. If all else
Oh
fails, you can hold the
no.
picture up in front of the camera. But
Yeah, it says zoom.us.app will not be able to open the contents of your screen until you quit. So I guess we won't be doing that. Yeah, I could turn this around and you're not gonna be able to see it, but probably not.
I could.
Um,
Yeah, that totally works.
yep. So I'm in the middle, and then you got bass,
Are those
rhythm
vinyl
guitar,
pants or
and
leather pants?
those are leather.
Nice.
And you can't see our drummer, which is a shame because he definitely had the most talent out of the bunch.
Okay.
He actually went on like to make legit studio albums
Wow.
with different bands.
So it was that rock or punk?
That is metal full on.
Oh, right on.
We were kind of like a thrash metal slash death metal crossover type of band.
So you can play the guitar extremely fast then, right?
Yeah,
Because
well, I
a lot
could
of the
back then
records,
at least.
I was into metal for a while, and there was I was hard to imagine how fast they had to play some of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, at least back then I could. And today, if I tried to do it at the tempo that we played at, I'd probably like end up in the hospital with a broken arm. I'd like need Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that. So what was the band called?
It was called Humanity Raped because you know, humanity deprived or um, humanity in ruin. You know, that wasn't metal enough, so I of course had
Yeah.
to be more extreme, and I do regret that because I mean the rape the word rape is just so awful and horrible, and yeah, that yeah, just don't like it. It was the name of one of the songs, and then we thought, oh, maybe we could make that the name of the band because the band had different names over the years.
Mm.
Uh, we were originally called Rapture, and then a band from Sweden of the same name decided they were going to threaten legal action against us.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
This is back in like 1994 or 95 or something. Like we thought we were so cool because we had a website, we had our own website, and then of course these guys found us and we're like, what? No,
I
not
was going to say,
happening.
I would think rapture was probably taken. Usually you got to at least have two words to get a little, yeah. And it wouldn't be the rapture, it'd be like, I don't know, catastrophic rapture or something crazy.
It's yeah, we should have just done that instead.
That's awesome. So you that was in high school. So were these, how did you form the band? It sounded like the drummer was one of your friends.
Yeah. So this one time at band camp, literally,
We're going there.
um,
Let's do it.
it was it was like a concert band camp that started a week before school started, and so I signed up and went. And this is my freshman year, and I walked in and I see this dude, and he has a Metallica shirt on, and he sees me right away because I got a Megadeth shirt
Oh,
on, and that was it, like right there, you know.
it's like an SNL skit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's how it really all started. He already had a band, and so I ended up. They wanted a singer, and I joined the band initially as a singer, and then after a couple of years, I started playing guitar too. But yeah, we stuck together for many years, and all throughout college, and then for a little bit after, and then I moved across the country, and
Yeah.
that was kind of the end of that. But
That's pretty amazing, though. I mean, bands don't usually have a very long lifespan, especially at that
yeah,
stage in life.
right.
You guys must have been a really good fit.
Oh yeah, we're still all. I mean, those are unbreakable bonds that we made back then. Still to this day, you know, all those guys were in my wedding, and
Oh, wow.
um, yeah, I mean, we're all tight, even if we don't get to see each other much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Is any of that music released still online somewhere if folks wanted to try and dig it up?
Um, there's a couple live videos on YouTube, but then you have to search for those two words, which are awful. There's a cover of "Livin' La Vida Loca" that's out there,
Nice.
and then there's a "Humanity Raped" the song. There's a performance of that from the same show. So I know those videos are out there. Um, there actually might be a Bandcamp page too, where
Yeah,
I
I
just
would.
put
I'm not.
put the demos.
Yeah, that's. I'm just curious to what your guys' general sound was like. I'd be curious to hear that.
It's yeah, it's pretty heavy,
What
I would
were
say.
some of your primary influences for that band? Would you say?
Like all the early '80s thrash metal. So Metallica, Megadeth, the big four: Anthrax, Slayer, um, Sepultura, and then a lot of the death metal stuff. So like Morbid Angel, Cannibal Corpse, Death. I was into Death big time. Um, maybe a little bit of Carcass. I don't know. Like some of the more melodic death metal stuff too.
Okay.
So like At the Gates and stuff like that. Some of the Swedish death metal and a little bit of black metal too, but not too much.
Yeah. So
So like
yeah. So you were really
the
into that whole scene, and it's so interesting because with every genre we think of, well, there's actually subgenres, and depending on what part of the world you're in, there's like subgenres,
yep.
and it goes really deep. and it's always evolving over time too.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think now thrash metal has kind of come back around, and that's here to stay. It'll never be big again like it was, but
Mm-hmm.
those bands will be able to make a living touring. At least the old ones. I don't know. It's probably harder to break through if
Yeah.
you're new. But yeah.
So that was, you said up to 2002, and then is that when you moved across the country?
Yeah. And then I don't know, I probably didn't do too much at all. Then we moved back here after we had kids. So we moved back here, and life in music was pretty much non-existent. um, I did have the idea to come up with like a stoner metal synth band. I wanted to do something like that, but like I didn't have anybody to hook up with to do that. So I did some demos myself on a Linux laptop, and I didn't really know anything about synths at the time, so I just kind of picked some of the stock sounds and went with it, and then added guitars, and uh, didn't sound that great, but it was kind of a fun little experiment.
So what DAW was this on the Linux laptop, and what year was this?
It was like 2009,
Okay.
maybe. I might have started it even before then, I think, actually. I can't remember. Maybe Ardour.
'Cause I'm totally unfamiliar with which
Yeah.
DAWs have been on Linux even now or, a decade ago.
Well, I only used the DAW for the synth part of it, and then I mixed everything in Audacity.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So what's the general philosophy of a synth stoner band? I'm trying to picture how would that manifest in reality? Say if you had a stage and you had the group synth stoner band, is that like, it sounds a little more laid back than speed metal?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, it'd be really slow and doomy, really, really loud. Um, and I guess and back then I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have any clue about anything
Yeah.
when it came to the synths. But if I were to do it now, I pretty much envision like a bunch of sequencers and modular stuff.
So
Like
it's
a
like if Tangerine Dream became
Yeah,
a bunch of doomers about life and they all had way too much marijuana, so it was like Tangerine Dream in slow motion and also pitched down at the same time.
yes.
What would they be wearing? Like, what kind of clothing would be appropriate for this group?
Ooh, that I don't know if I ever got that far. Probably all black.
Okay, that's a good start. Yeah.
I don't know how far I go with the with the whole getup, but yeah, like a big
That
Tangerine Dream
sounds.
thing, and then just a wall of speaker cabinets, and yeah, kind of like hypnotic stuff.
Well, I'm wondering if it would almost be, because I've heard about this dungeon synth genre, and whenever I hear it, it kind of sounds like maybe what you're describing, or at least adjacent to it. I'm not
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
familiar with dungeon synth. Like, okay, it's like dark synth music that you play games to, I guess, or like Dungeons and Dragons too. I don't know.
I'll have to check that out some more. I'm not too familiar with that genre. I know
I see a lot
there's
of
like
videos on YouTube talking about it. I'm like, I don't know.
there's a what's the name of the artist? Like everything he puts out is like it's like names of Windows config files and stuff like that. Like config.sys is the name of the song, or
Hmm.
check disk, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like synth metal. Master Boot Record, that's
Oh,
the
okay.
name of
Yeah,
it.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And it all sounds like it was played on like whatever that stock sound engine that came with Windows 95. I think it was like
Wow.
a Yamaha sound engine. It all sounds like it's on that,
Hmm.
but it's awesome. It's like, and there's a cover of Metallica's Orion out there somewhere that he did, which is really, really cool. But he didn't call it Orion. It's not like an exact cover. It's xcopy.exe, I think is what he named it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. You should go check it out if you like synths and metal and
Yeah.
the old cheesy Windows sound set.
So you were kind of experimenting with this idea of stoner synth metal, and
Yeah.
that was in about 2009, you'd say.
Yep. And then I kind of took the idea a little further once I got an iPad, and I actually put
Mm.
something out there. I called it the debut demo EP, and it pretty much sounds like garbage, but it, I don't know. There's some fun ideas there. That could be
Was that in that
resurrected.
similar
And
style that you were going for with the stoner metal synth
yes,
art?
yep,
What
yeah.
is that? Which order are those words supposed to be in? This genre that you've invented?
Uh, well, I was gonna name the band Space Sludge.
Space sludge. Okay.
So, um, yeah, I don't know, stoner space synth metal. Wait, that doesn't sound right.
Sci-fi
That's
stoner synth metal. Yeah, I don't even know. That's
yeah, that's a tricky one.
So is that EP somewhere that people can listen to?
Yeah, that's out on Bandcamp. That's Hypergull is the name that I came up with that eventually, which is the word hyper and then the Spanish spelling for goal. So hyper GOL, all one
Okay.
word. That's also on Bandcamp. It's pretty ridiculous. There's
Hopefully you won't have any regrets after this conversation, and we're
I wouldn't have put it out there if like I
okay.
cared that much. So yeah, I'm I'm cool with whatever feedback. Or if maybe somebody wants to start a stoner metal synth band.
Yeah,
There it is, stoner metal synth
stoner metal synth. I
in
actually like the
in
sound of that.
space.
It's got a good ring to it. In space.
Yes.
That would be like an album that that'd be a good album name in the stoner metal synth genre. You have stoner metal synths in space.
Yes.
That's classic title right there.
It's ready. It's ready. I'm ready to go.
So you did that. That was the EP. Was that around right around 2009, or was that a little bit later?
It was a little bit later because it was after I got an iPad, and
Yeah. Okay.
I put most of it together in GarageBand on the iPad.
Okay. So yeah, because that GarageBand on the iPad, I can't remember how long has it been that's actually been capable. Because I'm trying to think when the iPad came out, if that was 2012 or 2011, something like that.
Yeah, it was somewhere around there, like 2011.
So yeah, that's pretty impressive if you were able to. I mean, I didn't know anybody that was making music on an iPad until even recently, just because there's so many limitations and it's like a very closed system. And I assume you were using all the built-in features. I assume everything was part of it.
Yep. And then I also did add later. I added the Korg IMS-20 app to
Hmm.
it, and I just thought that app was the coolest thing in the world. And that's kind of one of the reasons I had to get the real deal, is just because that app sounds so good.
Okay.
So I knew that was a when I actually started getting the hardware that was a synth that I wanted to get.
So yeah, let's talk about what was the next step when you I guess outgrew the iPad as far as for musical endeavors. Did you feel like did you use it long enough to feel like, okay, I know this thing inside and out, and I'm starting to bump into the edges. What am I going to do about that?
Yeah, I don't think I ever got to the point where I knew it inside and out. Um, I guess I did get to the point where I felt like there was this whole other world out there that I was unfamiliar with and wanted to explore. And I started getting into like synthwave
Mm.
and um, all the stuff that sounded like the stuff I heard on the radio as a kid,
Yep.
like all these familiar sounds that were very comforting. Uh, and just, I don't know, the nostalgia factor. But I was like, oh man, this is so cool. I want to figure out how to make these sounds. And so I started learning more about synths, and eventually I got a microbrute. That was my first synth.
Okay.
And I just thought it was so awesome. And I just recorded it straight into Logic, and then, added some reverb and like the stock reverb and delay plugins in Logic. And I was just blown away by that pure analog synth sound
What
from the
version of
microbrute.
Logic was this?
9, Logic
Okay.
9. Yeah. And then after that, I got a Volca keys because I had to have polyphony. And that thing actually sounds really, really good. The filter isn't anything remarkable, but there's just some really cool things you can do with it. It's got this really cool detune function that makes it sound really big for its size.
So what's is that a 4-voice saw wave only?
It's a 3-voice.
Oh, okay. And is it
and
just one
it's
oscillator per voice, or can you get like a phantom second with the detune function?
I think it's probably paraphonic, even though they say it's polyphonic. I think it's paraphonic because there's only one mode where you can play chords,
Okay.
and everything else is like mono synth mode. But yeah, it sounds good. It's got a nice delay effect, like a really grungy delay effect on it, analog delay. And then after that, I guess I just went crazy off the deep end, like everybody.
It's been known to
And
happen.
yeah, I got a Alpha Juno 2. That was like the first like okay, this is like a real
Full.
synth
Yeah.
now. Yeah, and I got that I bought it on Reverb, but it was from Belgium, so I need the stupid step down or step up transformer to use it, but that's
Oh
fine.
wow.
Might hurt resale a little bit. I have to tell somebody they need one of those to play it, but it's in great shape. And yeah, I fell in love with that as soon as I started. Uh, as soon as I found out you could use a iPad app to edit it, I was like, okay, this is awesome. I love this. And then really just kind of snowballed from there. And then of course, just watching YouTube, all the different synth folks on YouTube, and learning more and more, learning from GeoSynths, the
Yeah.
sound design stuff, and then just like watching him, how he approaches sound designs, like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. And now, but then I have to buy all the synths that he has, and I don't really, yeah. The only way to pay for it really is to sell other stuff. So I sell stuff all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if anybody's interested, like, we'll turn this into the S Rabbit synth shop
Do you have a
hour.
reverb store that you want to mention?
Well, I don't have anything up there right now
Oh,
because
okay.
I prefer to sell locally. So I'm part of a local synth group, and
Okay.
I list everything there first and keep it there for a while. But yeah, so this case up here, that's the Roland case, and this was a full System 500 set, but I already had a few of the modules, so it doesn't make sense to keep the duplicates. So selling the duplicates plus the 572 phaser, because I don't care about phasers at all.
So you bought the complete Roland. Well, I don't know what they call that. System 500, I guess.
Yep.
Even though you already had a few of the modules, did you do any mixing and matching, or are you sticking with what they would normally sell it with?
So it's everything they sell it with, except I took out the phaser and I put in the 505 filter instead in its place.
So do you have two filters in there then?
Yeah. And they're both dual filters, so
But they do,
it's
I
really
think, what is it? One
it's
of
really
them's
4 filters.
they're what is each filter based on that's in there? Because I can't remember what the two filter circuits they're based on. I just remember they sound really good.
So the 521, I believe, is based on the filter in the original System 100, And then the 505 is supposedly based on the SH5.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I just didn't want to say the wrong thing. I assumed you'd
But
know if you had them right there.
but people say that the 505 is weird because it doesn't self-oscillate. At least the
Hmm.
first filter doesn't, which on the original SH5 it certainly did. Now the bandpass filter on the 505 self-oscillates like crazy, and it's all bubbly and glitchy and just awesome.
I just
It's
realized it's getting a little
beautiful.
dark over here. I don't know if I can. That's a little better. Okay, um, so when did you start getting onto YouTube and a little active as far as putting your own stuff on there?
Yeah, so I actually started my YouTube channel as a way to demonstrate my apps and like provide tutorials and stuff like that. And then I kind of progressed from just like straight up instructional videos to actually showing how it could work in a creative process.
Yeah.
So that, and then once I started doing that, it actually became fun, and much less stressful. And so now I've kind of, since those apps have been around for a while, I've kind of moved on to just doing whatever just for fun. Um, Whether that's like doing a jam with a little walkthrough of how everything is configured afterward, or um, me doing a firmware upgrade on the synth like the JX10, or on the JX3P, I opened it up and there's trim pots for the filter resonance, so you can actually boost it up.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and so I got a long video on that where I'm using a digital oscilloscope to I guess recalibrate the filter to pump the resonance way up. And I think where it's at right now is actually very close to a Juno 60. So the Juno 60 and the JX3P have the same filter chip.
Oh, okay.
And so I just bought the JU06A Boutique,
Yeah, I
which
saw that there.
yep, which has the Juno 60 and Juno 106
Yeah.
models in
Okay.
it. And I set up a patch similar to the JX3P on the Juno 60 model, high resonance, like resonance up all the way, and then a really, really long decay time on the envelope. And they sound really, really close.
That's impressive. Which,
So
well,
just by,
yeah, the
well, yeah,
ACB is amazing. I mean,
yeah,
I think there's only maybe one ACB recreation that I've heard someone complain about. Most of them, everybody says they're really good. So you were able to test it, do kind of a real world test there, it sounds like.
yep. And obviously it's not a real Juno 60, but I would think that Roland did a pretty good job of matching the filter. So, and I was just impressed that it sounded so close to my now boosted up JX3P filter. So I'll do a video on that and demo that because I think it's pretty cool. And then if people who have a JX3P, they can go watch my other video and learn how to boost it up. And as well, I also tuned the filter as well because they're like all the voices were out of whack, and so you couldn't do any sort of keyboard tracking because they're all like all the voices are different pitch. So I fixed that, and that stuff is actually all like published in the service manual if you
Mm.
go look at it, and then there's a couple helpful websites for doing it. And I just wanted to put together a really comprehensive, even if it's a long-winded video, to help people like me that really don't know anything about this stuff. Like, I read so many things online, and people are, oh yeah, you just do this, and then you're there. And I'm like, I still have no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I really need the beginner version. Like, show me all the tools, show me everything that you're doing. There's this YouTuber, I don't know what his name is. I think his channel is Brad THX, and he's got a bunch of repair videos out there. Like he'll repair an old reverb unit, like an old Lexicon rack reverb, and go through everything in detail. And I have no clue what he's doing, but I just really appreciate somebody going to that level of detail. I don't know.
So now I have noticed a couple of your videos using hardware effects. Where do
Yeah.
those enter the does did you start down that road maybe during your band days with pedals and whatnot?
Oh man, that's kind of funny because in the band days, I used one effects processor, multi effects processor. It was a total piece of crap. Like it was so bad.
It was so bad it
It
was
had
good, or it was so bad it was bad.
oh, it was bad. Like the most digital awful. It was a Digitech RP5, and the distortion was so horrible. And I'm sure my bandmates knew it at the time, but I thought it was fine. But yeah, oh, yeah, it sounded awful. I ended up selling it for I don't know how much, probably way more than anybody should pay for it. But that's the whole vintage thing, right? Like even though it's from the early 90s and it sounds like crap, it's vintage, so people are gonna pay more than
Like
it's
the
worth.
M Audio Venom of pedals or something.
I guess I don't know. It had a pitch shifter thing on it, but the tracking was so slow. It was just completely useless. You'd hit a note, and then 5 seconds later, you'd hear the octave below the what you just played.
So it was like a pitch
So
shifted delay essentially.
yeah, I definitely wasn't into pedals back then, and I never really paid attention to sonics in general, like and how to make
Mm,
something sound good. Um, when I was listening to music as a kid, I didn't listen on headphones. I didn't have a good setup for actually paying attention to all
yeah.
the sonic detail. I listened to it on a boombox on cassette most of the time. It was like, yeah, it's fine. But um, yeah, now I pay a lot of attention to detail, and I'm very much into making things sound good.
So I like that you're making that point. So when would you say you started to notice the nuances in the sound and appreciate certain sounds above others?
Probably when I started listening to things on headphones, in a good listening environment. I don't know. I got some of these Grado headphones, like completely open back, wide soundstage.
Hmm.
Everything sounds great through them, and you can really hear a good production versus a bad one.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, there's some bad productions that stand out even on terrible equipment. So, but yeah, probably just from listening to stuff through headphones, I guess.
And then because you had what was that meaty verb, and do you have a lexicon unit there
I don't have a lexicon. I've got the
or an Alesis something? I can't remember what it was.
yeah,
Looked like you had a. I thought you had more than one.
yeah, I've
Oh,
got
okay.
the MIDI verb two and then the quadra-verb, and they sound amazing together. Then I've got this thing I just got, the
Okay. Yeah.
audio thingies Dr. A, and
Is
that's
that
the same company that makes the
DSP? The
Micromaster.
are all those? Oh, okay. So those are all DSP based.
They are. Yep.
Because I remember that your video with the doctor box sounded pretty good, and the
Yeah.
other
That.
verbs with the OB6. The OB6 is like the Strymon Big Sky of synths, I guess. It could make a bad
It,
sound out of if you tried, but it sounded really good
well,
through those boxes. Or have you bucked the trend?
I know how to make some bad sounds. I can make some pretty awful sounding steel drums on the
Oh,
OP6
steel drums. There.
unintentionally.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but so the trick with the OB6 is you want to preserve that just the beautiful raw tone that's coming out of it.
oh, okay.
Um, so you want to make sure that your reverb works with it instead of like burying it, working against it basically. And I just kind of felt like I have a Ventris dual reverb, which is an amazing pedal, and
Yeah.
it's, it competes with the Big Sky and all that, but I could never dial it in so that the reverb wouldn't take everything over. um, and I feel like the Alesis units just, they work with the sound rather than overpowering it. So I've been really happy. And the reverbs in the Dr. A, same thing. They work really well. It just becomes part of the sound instead of taking it over.
Now that Dr. A, can you uh, change? Can you upload different algorithms, or is that a fixed unit?
Um, I guess maybe in the future they could have a firmware update where they add more stuff to it, but yeah, it's fixed. There's
Okay.
four delay algorithms and 8 reverbs,
Okay.
and they all sound great.
Yeah. That's a lot of algorithms in that little box.
Yeah. Yep, and there's different ways you can route it. So like you can feed the delay into the reverb, or you can just have them in parallel. There's like a kill dry setting in there too. So it's a great external effects unit. It also is is made to integrate well with Eurorack, so it handles like Eurorack level signals. You don't have to attenuate them. Like you can go straight out of an oscillator right into it, and it'll be just fine.
Hmm.
Um, and then it has 2 CV inputs on it as well.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah, it's that's why I got it for Eurorack basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like a yeah. I dipped my toe into the Eurorax effects a little bit, but I found the compared to the pedal format, it's just so tiny and restricted. Um, so I was like,
Yeah,
I've got a really nice BBD Dope module. I absolutely love it. It oozes everything that I want in a delay. But beyond that, I was like, just devoting the HP and the cost when I can get a pedal for far less money and it sounds fantastic. And, there's 10,000 pedals to choose from.
yeah, which itself is a trap right
Yeah.
there. Um, I do have a little Erica Synths 3 HP Pico BBD in there. It's very,
Was that in
very,
your recent video with the four voices?
yes.
Okay, yeah, because I remember you pointing that out. I was like, that sounds like a really good little BBD.
Yep. And I have it running in the video. I have it running through the 505 bandpass just to get that awful hiss when you turn up the delay time.
Okay, so that's an unfiltered one as well. Because yeah, mine is too.
Yes.
And it's like, well, I got extra filters for that because it's like
Yep.
ear piercing.
Yeah, actually, since I made that video, I just bought this, which is another 2 HP. This is a filter module, so I can use
Okay,
this now to filter the BBD. And then yeah, so it goes to in the video it goes to the BBD and then into the spring reverb, which is just
that
a
was the
spring reverb tank driver. Yeah.
that was one of the greatest sounds I've ever heard. Honestly,
It is, you gotta admit, it is cool to pick up a tank and just drop it.
it's like it'd be cool to see a movie where like a car was being dropped or something very large was being slammed into something or dropped, and instead of the real sound, it was the sound of that thing in place of it.
Yeah, it'd be good. It would be a good departure from the cheesy stock sound effects that they always use.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So,
yeah, I'm really happy with that. It like, and the tank driver has a like a filter on it, so
oh, okay.
you can make it darker or brighter, and
Yeah, that I've seen that often, like a color knob, or they have different
yeah,
names for them.
and it's got a drive knob, so you can crank it and just make it sound grungy as you want.
So, where would you say you're at now in your musical journey? I mean, you've got a really fantastic setup there. Are you more exploring, or do you approach things on a project basis, like conceptualize something and work toward it?
I'm still exploring. I do like the idea now of like what you just said, conceptualizing and then actually trying to implement it and do it. Like what I did with the polyphonic thing. Like I had an idea in mind and then I set about achieving it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to buy some stuff to pull it off. And
You were going to buy that stuff anyway, though, right?
actually, yeah, most of it I was because I want to do, I do want to do some generative stuff. And I know
Mm-hmm.
like the Poly on Poly 2 has quantization features and stuff.
I need to dig into that because I have a little task that I think would be well suited for quantization. I just haven't. Thanks you for mentioning that. I'll look at the manual and see maybe that can do it. Maybe I already have something that can do it.
Yeah, that, and I think the MC707 can do some stuff like that. And then you've got, I did buy a quantizer module. It's a LADIC quantizer.
I have a couple of those modules on the way so I can have a preamp coming in and a line out going out because I've been experimenting with running my DAW into my rack, basically using DAW oscillators as rack oscillators. And I did an experiment yesterday and I had so much gain on there that it's scary just to get them so you could hear them coming back through. So
Oh yeah, yep,
this should,
yeah, because of the
everything
levels.
should work right once I get these LADIC modules. Hopefully, they're pretty inexpensive. I think from
They are.
Czechoslovakia.
You'll
So
have to let me know how long it takes to actually show up at your
yeah.
door because that one sat in customs for several weeks.
Oh wow. Yeah, I guess I'll find out. I think I ordered them Monday or Sunday or something like that. I know they've shipped.
Yeah, it's because they send it via the postal service. Like, if you buy something from Thomann in Germany, they go UPS, so it's at your
Yeah,
house in like 3 days.
yeah, or DHL. I think is another one I've gotten from overseas.
Yeah, it's just when they go through the post office and they sit in customs forever. So you keep looking at it every day. Like you sign up for the alerts and still nothing happens. Like, come on, what are you doing?
So, what are you working on now? What do you have in the works? What can we expect to see from you in the near future?
Like I said, I'll probably do a little video on the JX3P versus JU06A filter resonance since I think it's pretty close. Um, for a while, I've been wanting to do a little demo of the Alpha Juno 2 and matching the chorus rates to like other classic Rolands of the JX series and the other Junos. And my method for doing that was to um, just fire up the synth and crank the input gain because when you turn on the chorus, it makes
Just
so
to
much
hear
noise.
the ocean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then when you can record it, you can see the peaks. So you can just measure the time between the two peaks, and that's your chorus rate.
Okay.
And we know from service manuals and other things that what the chorus rates are from the all the classic Rolands. And in the cases where we don't, we can kind of do the same thing. Like I can take the JU06A, do the same thing, record the noise, and then try to match the Alpha Juno 2's chorus rate to that and just see what it sounds like. Maybe we can make it sound like all those classic Junos. Because I mean, that so much of the classic Juno sound is the chorus.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, but the chorus in this one sounds so much better than that one. Well, I mean, is it that it sounds better, or is it just that the chorus rate on that model just suited that particular sound better?
Hmm.
And I think that's more the case. And the Alpha Juno gives you that flexibility to play around with the chorus rate and get all those different sorts of sounds.
So in
So
on the Alpha Juno, is that a digital algorithm? Because I thought it was an analog chorus, like it maybe a BBD or something. I don't really know.
it's the same exact chorus chips that are in
Oh,
all the
okay.
other classic Rolands. It just
Yeah.
has a variable chorus rate.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it occurs to me what you could probably do is make a 10-hour recording of just the chorus noise, call it Roland Ocean Sounds or, Roland Chorus Ocean something with a really nice shade of blue, upload that to YouTube and get like, 27 million views.
Right. It'd be one of those calming videos that
Yeah. You
people
just got
turn
to give
to.
it the right title. That's all you got to do. And you're good to go. I bumped into 10 hours of an orange screen video the other day when I was like researching light bulb temperatures, and it's like, really, people got really excited about 10 hours of an orange screen.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it.
Hey, whatever works. Unfortunately, the Alpha Juno's chorus is comparatively quiet compared
Hmm.
to all the others. At least my JX3P is incredibly loud. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
You
you'll
can
have to deal
hear
with that
the
one then. Yeah.
yeah, you can hear the LFO like hitting the when it hits the end of its cycle and comes back around.
Oh, geez.
It's fine. It sounds great. I don't care.
Okay. So I'll pick your brain about the a video description, so we'll be able to put in the relevant links that folks can use to find you. Um, you're you're pretty active on YouTube, I've noticed, so we'll be able to keep in touch that way. Um,
Yep.
I think, yeah, for now, I think that's a pretty good. Brings us up to speed of what brought you where you're at. Um, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you again in the future. And I have some more, which I'd like to get into those apps that you mentioned. That sounds really interesting, and I'd like to learn more about how you did that and how they function, because that sounds really useful in something to have in the studio. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have been on, and yeah, I'd be happy to come back on and talk about all that stuff and other things as well.
yeah. Well, thank you very much, Steve. Good talking to you, and we'll talk to you again soon, and we'll see the folks soon enough, sometime next month. Bye for now.
All right. Thank you. Cheers.